Did you know that October is Saskatchewan Agriculture Month? October is proclaimed Agriculture Month by the Saskatchewan government to recognize the dedication and contribution of farmers, ranchers, and agribusinesses to the agriculture industry. As Agriculture Minister David Merritt said, the agriculture industry is a cornerstone of our province. They produce food not only for Saskatchewanians, but play an integral part in feeding the growing world. Saskatchewan had 60.3 million acres of farmland in 2021 and accounted for 43.1% of Canada's cropland. In 2024, Saskatchewan produced 15,943,483 metric tons of wheat. They also produced 10,628,814 metric tons of canola and 2,353,571 metric tons of lentils. So thank a farmer next time you see one. Farming is not an easy career even today with modern technology, and it was even harder when the first farmers broke the land on the Saskatchewan prairies. Let's go back in time to 1867 when Canada first became a country. Now, the newly formed Canadian government was worried that what we know today as Western Canada was going to be claimed by the United States of America. So the government raced to settle the West. In 1872, the Canadian government passed the Dominion Lands Act, which was to help encourage settlement in the prairies. Within the act, the land was divided into sections and quarter sections. A quarter section could be purchased at $10, but it was not a done deal. There was a lot of conditions that applied. For example, the farmers had to clear the land for farming and cultivate a certain area annually. They also had to build a habitable residence, which is no easy task. With the low quantity of wood in the prairies, the homesteaders got creative by building sod houses, which are just houses built out of dirt and grass. If you have never seen one, I encourage you to stop and visit the Bravia Museum, as they have one. The farmers were given 3 years to meet these conditions, and if they didn't meet them, the government reserved the right to take back the land and give it to someone else. However, if they did meet the conditions, they owned the land and they could purchase a full section. By the 1920s, more farmers were able to purchase small tractors. We also see in 1924 the creation of the Saskatchewan Wheat Pool. This was a crucial moment in Saskatchewan agriculture history, as it brought hundreds of the iconic country elevators to the province. Unfortunately, these structures are becoming extinct. By the end of the decade, we see the emergence of the first combines, nowhere near the machines we see in the fields today, but a significant invention. So let's pause and discuss the equipment up to this point, and the changes in technology. In the spring, farmers would have to use their strength to break the land with a plow pulled by a horse or ox, as seen in the picture. Eventually, the equipment evolved to a plow being pulled by a small tractor that kept getting bigger and bigger as the years went on. Then came harvest, and the farmers would manually cut the plants down with a tool called a scythe. If the farmers thought that they moved slowly today, imagine the pain that the farmers felt of the past. With technology, they eventually got a binder, which would cut the grain and bind it into sheaves. The sheaves were then placed in stooks, as seen on screen. That would later be collected and thrown through the thresher machine. The thresher split the grain from the chaff or straw. The current combines combine the idea of the binder's cutting principle and the separation techniques of the thresher. If you'd like to see how this machinery works, I encourage you to stop by the Western Development Museum in Yorkton, specifically at their annual Threshersman Day, where they demonstrate how this machinery works. Now, in the 30s, it was not great for farmers. Severe drought plagued the prairies, making it near impossible for farmers to grow a crop. However, what came from this was experimental practices led by the University of Saskatchewan and farmers that worked to minimize soil degradation. During the Second World War, Canada was influential in feeding their soldiers and allies. The government called for Canadian farmers to grow less wheat and raise more hogs and cattle. Canada supplied Britain with 85% of their demand for bacon, resulting in 700 million pounds of bacon being shipped across the Atlantic. In doing this, grain production also increased to feed the growing number of animals. After the war, the use of horses on the farm were decreasing, as more powerful and effective tractors were becoming more readily available to farmers. The shift in technology sought to improve the yield of the crop. Fast forward to the 70s, and we see the introduction of canola into the farmer's crop rotation. Canola was created by scientists of the U of S and the U of M by genetically modifying a plant called rapeseed. Now, let's learn some fun facts about farming. See if you can guess the answers before they were revealed. What is considered to be the first crop planted in Saskatchewan? no surprise here, it was wheat. It is said to have been planted in Carrot River Valley in the 1750s. Next question. What was the average age of Saskatchewan farmers in 2021? The answer is 55.8. There are less and less farmers coming up to replace the retiring ones, hence why the age is on the higher side. In 2021, approximately how many individuals were employed in the agriculture sector? Now, I will give you a hint. This includes crop and animal production, as well as mixed, which is the combination of the two, and also supporting roles. So it's actually about 28,600 individuals. As you can see from this graph, the number is decreasing. Those considered in the agriculture sector, like I said, are in crop and animal production, mixed being the combination of the previous two, and supporting roles, which are people who may not farm themselves, but provide services that support farmers. All right, next question. What percentage of Canada's cattle and calves did Saskatchewan produce in 2021? Saskatchewan produced the second largest number of calves and cattle in the country, providing 21% of the nation's total. How many eggs did the 73 registered egg farmers produce in 2023? It was close to 455 million eggs that were produced in 2023. And fun fact, the average hen lays about 340 eggs per year. How many acres of fruit production are in the province? There are more than 2,000 acres dedicated to fruit production in Saskatchewan. These are farmed by more than 250 registered commercial fruit growers. And of course, how can we not talk about the Saskatoon berry, which is our provincial berry? Saskatchewan is home to 28% of the country's Saskatoon berry orchards. How many elk and deer are farmed in Saskatchewan? The answer is 7,000. Okay, last question. How many hog farms were in Saskatchewan in 2023? There were 78 hog farms that sold more than 2 million hogs annually combined. We covered a lot about agriculture in Saskatchewan, but really this is only the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to the agriculture industry than statistics and history that I presented here today. Farming is a way of living, a lifestyle that is deeply rooted in our area, both in the past and in the present. So I encourage you to do your own research and look a little bit more into agriculture and agriculture in Saskatchewan, especially local agriculture. As always, thank you for joining us, and be sure to check out the Whitewood Historical Museum.